Good morning and welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. August 18th, 2026.
Quick check of the weather here in Parker. 61 degrees Fahrenheit and overcast right now, heading up to a high of 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Low tonight, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, Canadian trade negotiators face a high-stakes deadline in Washington to avert 50% tariffs, while a massive drone attack targets Moscow, and Anthropic reports record financial growth.
Lots to digest today. Let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news, we're starting with a major accessibility update coming out of England. The UK government announced that disabled pass holders will be getting free 24-hour bus travel starting next April.
That is a significant shift from the current setup. Right now, there are peak hour time restrictions on when those passes can be used for free, which really limits flexibility.
Exactly. Removing those peak hour restrictions is designed specifically to help disabled workers and commuters who need to travel during morning and evening rush hours.
It makes a lot of sense. If you are trying to hold down a job, having time limits on your transit pass creates an unnecessary hurdle every single day.
Right, and advocates have been pointing that out for a long time. So starting in April, that restriction is completely gone across England.
That is going to make a tangible difference for a lot of commuters. What do we have next?
Let's move on to global news. We start with critical trade talks in Washington, where Canadian negotiators are making a final attempt to convince the Trump administration to avoid massive new tariffs.
The stakes here are enormous, Alex. We are talking about a deadline for 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian exports.
That is a massive dollar amount. Mark Carney and the Canadian team are in the U.S. Capitol right now trying to secure a last-minute deal before that clock runs out.
If these negotiations fall through, those 50% tariffs will immediately reshape cross-border commerce between the U.S. and Canada in the near term.
Yeah, businesses on both sides of the border are watching this very closely. It is down to the wire.
Switching gears to the war in Ukraine, Ukrainian forces have carried out one of their largest direct aerial attacks on the Russian capital since the conflict began.
Kyiv launched more than 620 unmanned aerial vehicles targeting Moscow. That is a massive scale for a single long-range drone operation.
It really shows how much Ukraine's long-range drone capabilities have expanded. Striking targets inside Moscow at this volume sends a very clear operational message.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, looking at intelligence and influence operations, there's a fascinating report about an Israeli operation creating a fake think tank.
This is wild. The whole point of setting up this fraudulent think tank was to manipulate AI chatbots.
Right? By putting specific material out under the guise of a think tank, the operation aimed to influence the training data and eventual output generated by large language models.
It shows how intelligence tactics are evolving. Instead of just trying to influence human readers, threat actors are now targeting the underlying datasets that AI systems consume for geopolitical messaging. That is a scary precedent for data integrity.
It really is. Now, finishing up our global section, South Korea has officially blocked local access to the prediction market platform Polymarket.
They are citing national gambling laws for the block, right?
Yes, South Korea is joining more than 30 other jurisdictions that have already restricted or banned access to Polymarket.
It highlights this growing global regulatory crackdown against decentralized, crypto-based betting platforms. Regulators everywhere are drawing a hard line on illegal gambling.
Coming up, we have critical flood updates from India, plus space surveillance technology and clean energy breakthroughs.
Let's turn now to India and Tamil Nadu. In Odisha, the flood situation has turned grim following heavy depression-induced rainfall.
The water levels in several major rivers are continuing to rise across the northern districts, affecting hundreds of thousands of residents. Chief Minister Mohan Charamaji conducted emergency reviews as the IMD forecasts even more rain.
That is a really tough situation for those communities. On the technology front in India, researchers at IIT Bombay have announced a major breakthrough in clean energy.
They developed a low-cost catalyst that significantly reduces the expense of producing green hydrogen.
That could be massive for lowering industrial carbon emissions and speeding up clean energy adoption globally.
Definitely. And staying in India, space tech startup Diganara has deployed a powerful AI-powered space surveillance network following Operation Sindoor.
The network is built to strengthen defense tracking capabilities and improve orbital space domain awareness.
When we come back, we will look at a major crypto hardware hack, massive financial surges in AI, and federal stablecoin regulations.
Let's talk markets and finance. We have to start with a severe security incident in the crypto space involving cold card hardware wallets.
This was a huge hit. Attackers managed to drain nearly $114 million in Bitcoin from over 700 addresses.
How did they manage to pull that off on a hardware wallet?
It came down to a critical firmware flaw involving a seed generation bug. That bug drastically reduced the randomness required for key generation, leaving those wallets vulnerable.
Wow. That really proves that relying purely on a brand's reputation is not a real security model. Even hardware wallets can fail if the underlying code has flaw.
Exactly. Now, moving to enterprise AI revenues, Anthropic has reported a mind-boggling surge in its financial numbers.
Their annualized revenue has now reached $65 billion.
$65 billion. That demonstrates the incredible velocity of enterprise demand for large language models right now.
The commercial market for AI is expanding faster than almost anything we have seen before.
On the regulatory front here in the U.S., the Treasury Department has released a formal proposal under the GENIUS Act.
This proposal sets out core definitions and jurisdictional boundaries for stablecoins, setting up the framework for federal rules that take effect in 2027.
Right? It is the first major administrative step toward full federal stablecoin oversight.
Speaking of federal regulators, the OCC has granted conditional approval for World Liberty Financial to obtain a trust charter.
World Liberty Financial is the crypto venture associated with the Trump family, and that conditional approval from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency immediately triggered political pushback.
Congressional Democrats have already introduced legislation aimed at curbing potential conflicts of interest surrounding the decision.
Meanwhile, the CFTC is asking for public input on a totally new financial instrument, AI compute futures contracts.
CME Group is planning to launch these AI compute futures in October. The goal is to allow companies to hedge against the volatile costs of processing power needed for AI.
It makes sense given how expensive and unpredictable compute power has been. It will be very interesting to see how the market prices those derivatives.
And finally, in business, a landmark trial has begun where multiple U.S. state attorneys general are taking Meta to court.
The states allege that Meta intentionally designed its social media platforms to foster addiction in children. The outcome of this trial could establish major legal precedents for tech regulation and algorithmic safety.
Coming up, we have groundbreaking developments in AI software, major hardware investments, and stunning discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope.
On the tech side, we saw a startling incident involving automated coding tools. An automated bug fix by GitHub Copilot AutoFix actually allowed attackers to breach Snowflake's internal Jira workspace.
That is a classic case of supply chain risk with autonomous AI agents. An automated fix designed to close a vulnerability ended up creating an entry point for attackers.
Right, and speaking of advanced AI capability, Chinese firm Z.AI has officially released GLM 5.3.
This is an open-weight model, and experts had previously issued warnings about its capabilities. It can automate complex coding and cybersecurity tasks right on par with top Western systems.
The big concern experts are pointing out is that releasing an open-weight model with advanced offensive capabilities lowers the barrier for automated vulnerability exploitation worldwide.
That is definitely raising alarm bells across the cybersecurity community.
Meanwhile, infrastructure spending in AI continues to balloon. OpenAI announced plans to build a massive new data center facility in Ohio.
And NVIDIA is providing supply guarantees for the project. The sheer physical scale and power required to train and run next-generation models is just staggering.
On the consumer security front, Apple users have been hit with a massive wave of security notifications.
Security researchers say an unprecedented volume of Apple users received recent alerts warning them that they were targeted by sophisticated spyware threats.
It points to a significant increase in threat activity aimed at mobile operating systems, even mainstream consumer devices.
In global health news, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is facing its worst Ebola outbreak on record.
More than 2,300 people have died in this fast-moving outbreak. Global healthcare organizations are rushing to deploy emergency interventions to halt transmission.
That is heartbreaking, and healthcare teams are working under extreme pressure.
Shifting to space science, the James Webb Space Telescope made two incredible discoveries recently. First, astronomers found a brand new type of star.
Instead of being powered by traditional nuclear fusion like our Sun, these newly detected stars are actually sustained by central black holes.
It completely challenges long-held astrophysical models about how stars evolve and maintain stability.
That is mind-bending. And JWST also detected water-altered clay minerals on two of Neptune's tiny inner moons, as well as in its ring system.
The chemical signatures suggest those minerals originally formed deep inside much larger icy worlds. That gives scientists compelling evidence that Neptune's inner moons are actually rubble left over from an original satellite system that was completely destroyed.
It paints a dynamic, violent picture of the early history of our outer solar system.
When we return, we will check in on Major League Baseball ownership changes, a historic sports legacy, and a family dispute over the Los Angeles Lakers.
Turning to sports and culture, Major League Baseball team owners have unanimously voted to approve the sale of the San Diego Padres.
The franchise is being sold to investors Jose E. Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones, officially bringing the team's ownership transition to a close under new executive leadership.
It is always big news when an MLB franchise changes hands, especially with unanimous owner approval.
Sad news from the baseball world as well. Former MLB pitcher Tommy John has passed away at the age of 83.
Tommy John revolutionized sports medicine back in 1974 when he underwent his groundbreaking elbow reconstruction surgery.
That procedure, which now bears his name, saved the careers of countless professional athletes over the last 5 decades. His legacy in sports medicine is unmatched.
Absolutely. Turning to the box office, Spider-Man: Brand New Day is shattering records.
It officially became the second fastest movie in history to cross $2 billion at the global box office.
Superhero franchises clearly still hold incredible commercial power when a film hits the right chord with audiences worldwide.
And finally, in the NBA, there is major drama unfolding over the future of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Team owner Jeannie Buss is contesting a majority family vote regarding a potential sale of the franchise to an investor group that includes Bob Iger and prominent investors.
That legal and internal family rift creates huge uncertainty around who will ultimately control and govern the iconic team moving forward.
It is going to be a messy legal battle to watch.
From high-stakes trade deadlines to historic science discoveries, rapid shifts in technology and policy continue to move the world fast today.
Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.